Hi everyone, it's Peter Schiff. It is Wednesday, August 11th, 2010, and this is going to be the last Schiff for Senate version of my YouTubes, at least for a while anyway. I'm sure most of you know by now I did not win the Republican primary yesterday. In fact, I came in third place. Now, I know this is very disappointing to many of you who have given so generously of your time and of your money to help me in this quest. But I don't want you to think that our efforts have been wasted. I think we achieved quite a bit. Remember, I was a political neophyte. I had never run in a race. When I started this race a year ago, my name recognition in the state of Connecticut was virtually zero. Maybe it was 2%. Nobody knew who I was. When the vote was cast yesterday, my name recognition was about 49%, maybe 50%. Wasn't enough to win, but despite the fact that only half the people knew my name, I still got 23% of the vote in a three-way race, which is not bad. And let's also consider the fact that there was a virtual media blackout of my campaign during that entire month. I went from 13% of the polls to 23% of the polls with no media. I didn't get a single interview on CNN, on Fox, on CNBC, on ABC, NBC, CBS. Not only didn't I get interviewed, they didn't even discuss my name. There was a lot of discussion of the Connecticut Senate race, and it all involved Linda McMahon versus Rob Simmons. Peter Schiff wasn't even mentioned. So a lot of people didn't even know that they could vote for me. Maybe when they saw my name on the ballot, they thought it was some kind of typographical error. And of course, there are a lot of people who didn't like Linda McMahon and voted against her. Well, those votes mostly went to Rob Simmons because that was the name they knew. They didn't vote for me. So all of my votes were pro-Peter Schiff votes. So if you probably took the anti-Linda votes away from Rob, I probably beat him. In fact, the only place Rob beat me was in his own congressional district, where he was very popular. Remember, he was in Congress for 6 years, and before that, he was in a state legislature for 10 years. He had a lot of loyal constituents. He had a lot of friends in the Republican Party. So they were still loyal, and they voted for him. But outside of his congressional district, in the remaining 4 out of 5 congressional districts, I beat Rob Simmons. I came in second. And that is an achievement in and of itself. Now, look at Linda McMahon. First of all, Linda McMahon only got 49% of the vote, despite spending more money than any Senate candidate in Connecticut history. And she's only at the primary. She's already spent more than anybody else considering the whole race. In fact, she was the biggest spender of all the candidates, both Democrat or Republican, running for Senate in the entire country. That's what I was up against. Many of the people who voted for Linda McMahon, I know in their hearts would have voted for me. But they only voted for Linda because she had the money. I know this because I talked to people who were voting for Linda over me because they liked me, but they thought Linda had a better chance to win because she was going to spend all that money. So it is very difficult to overcome an opponent with a $50 million checkbook. And that was the reality. And so despite all these odds, we still managed to finish very respectably in this race with 23%. Now, where do we go from here? There are a lot of people that want me to run again, maybe in 2012. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm not ruling that possibility out. I do think that if I were to run again in 2012 for the seat now held by Joe Lieberman, I think I'd have a much better chance of winning it. Number one, I'm starting out with about 50% name recognition in the Republican Party. Maybe you can't win with 50% name recognition, but it's a great place to start a campaign. Also, I now have everybody in the Republican establishment. My name recognition there is 100%. And I know I won a lot of supporters among Connecticut Republicans. Also, I don't know, there's not going to be another billionaire willing to drop $50 million to run against me. I don't think Rob Simmons is going to run again. So I don't even know who would be my opponent in the Republican primary. I would probably end up being the front runner. I would probably win the convention outright and not have to petition my way onto the ballot. And of course, if I'm the leader, if I'm the front runner, I'm going to get media attention and I'm going to get money. Part of the problem was without the media, my polling was really low. And I know I raised money, about $2.7 million from supporters, but the big money that I really needed to win this race from political action committees, from traditional sources to fund Senate campaigns. They wouldn't give me any money. I spoke to a lot of these organizations. They liked me, but they didn't think I was viable because they didn't see the polls. They didn't see the media. And they wanted to put their money where they thought it would do the most good. So they wanted to back candidates they thought could win. So maybe in 2012, if I get the nomination, if I'm front runner, if I'm higher in the polls, I get the media exposure, then I'll have a much better chance. And of course, the dynamics there, Joe Lieberman is almost as unpopular as Chris Dodd. Nobody likes him in this state. And if he runs, he's probably going to run as an independent, which means he's going to run down the middle. They're going to probably nominate somebody to run far to his left on the Democrats, which means I can run to the right as a Republican. And in a three-way race with my name ID, I think I can win that, especially considering how bad the economy is going to be in 2012. I mean, this depression will be much further underway. More of my economic forecasts will have come true. And I think the mood in the country and in the state of Connecticut will be much more accepting of my candidacy in 2012 than in 2010. Now, whether or not I'm actually going to run, I don't know. I mean, it is very difficult to run a Senate campaign. It takes a lot of your time, it takes a lot of your effort. It took a lot of money as well. So I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I might. And I'll think about it over the next 6 months. In the meantime, there are other races going on around the country, some here in Connecticut. I might do my best to support them a little bit. And I'm sure a lot of the people who are working on my campaign will work and help other candidates, like-minded candidates who are winning. I still think there's something you can do with my campaign. You know, I'm going to leave the phone banking open. My lease is still going for another few months at the campaign. We have a lot of loose ends that need to be tied up, so there will still be a skeleton crew there. I think in the meantime, you know, we don't have to phone bank as aggressively as we did, but if you have some spare time and you want to make some phone calls to the Connecticut Republicans, maybe we can get my name ID even higher. You know, tell people, hey, you know, Peter Schiff was in the Republican race. Had you heard about him? You know, check him out. You know, go to his internet site, read one of his books. I think a lot of people, it's going to be, you know, like the V8 commercial. They're going to find out about me, and it's going to be, oh, you know, I could have voted for Peter Schiff. So we can do that. You know, also, I'm still going to be accepting donations, you know, to keep the campaign or the thing going for a while. What I've decided to do, you know, we still have copies of my father's books. We haven't shipped them out yet. I promised everybody who donated the $200 is going to get the 3 copies of my dad's books, but there's still more. And while they last, I'd like to get these books out there. I think they're great. So if you want, I'm going to be throwing them in. I'll lower the bar a little bit. $125 donation will get you all 3 of my dad's books. I'll use the money to wind down the campaign. If there's anything left over, you know, it could come in handy if I run in 2012. You know, it's going to take a lot of money again to pull this off. But as I said, I'm not sure. But I do think we've gained a lot of respectability in the state. I finished way ahead of expectations, even though it was 23%. And, you know, the fact that I was polling so low, a lot of people might not have voted for me because I was polling 15% before. They were writing me off. So people either voted for Linda or they voted against Linda by voting for Rob. But as I said, a lot of people in this state, I made some good contacts. You know, I've raised my status in the state of Connecticut. And I think I've helped our cause. I think I've showed that, you know, I wasn't at a fringe. I didn't get 5%, 8% of the vote. Rob Simmons only beat me by 5 points, and he only beat me in his own district. And Linda McMahon only beat me because she outspent me. And take the money out, take the political connections out, I could have run this race. And if I could have won this race, maybe I could win in 2012. Anyway, thanks again to everybody for all of your hard work, all of your efforts. I couldn't have got the 23% that I did without your help. And who knows, if we do it in 2012, I'm going to need your help again. And next time, maybe we'll actually pull this off. Anyway, you can look forward to more YouTube videos. I will be now focusing once again on the markets and the economy. And for those of you who have been upset because of all the political blogging, I thank you for your patience. And I will be back to the normal Peter Schiff vlogs the next time you see me. Take care, everybody.